Hi guys, the initial link to this pattern and how to make the mask will be in the description below. I'm adjusting it a bit so it fits my face better since I have a really tiny face. I shortened the side from being 3 inches plus seam allowance to about 2 inches plus seam allowance, and I also brought up the chin about half of an inch. I did the same for the lining. Now cut out the shell and the lining on your desired fabric. I'm doing a black, a white, and a leopard print today. I started the leopard print because, as I said, I had a whole video on the assembly before, but I decided to just do a quick go over with the other 2 pieces. I got the 2 shell pieces and put right sides facing and pinned. I did the same for the lining. While at the machine, I folded the lining pieces inwards towards the round side about 1/8 of an inch twice and then top stitched them. Because the leopard print is made of thicker fabric, I opened the seam allowance and top stitched it on both sides of the center seam. Right here is where I'm doing the double fold on the lining edges. Fold, fold, and top stitch. I will be putting a white ruffle on my black mask, so I got a strip of white fabric about 17 inches long and 1 inch plus my seam allowance wide. I'm going to cut the 2 short ends in a slight diagonal and fold them under twice and top stitch them to hide the raw edges. While at the machine, I'm going to do a zigzag stitch on one raw edge as if I was doing a lettuce hem, and at the other raw edge I will set my machine to the biggest stitch and do a basting stitch along the entire length. I get all the pieces and I press them. Don't look at the state of my ironing board. I tend to burn things a lot, and yeah, I don't like ironing, but it's necessary when you're sewing. I then trim off some of the curve of the seam allowance and I cut little slits in it to release the curve. I do this for all shell and lining pieces. Working with the leopard mask and the white mask, I'm pinning the shell and lining pieces together with the right sides facing. Sew along both edges but stop sewing when you get to the end of the lining. With the black mask, I get the white strip and I fold it in half to mark the center. And then I pull on the base and stitch to create the gathers. I mark where the lining lines up on the shell fabric, and then I place the center of the ruffles to the center seam of the shell and pin. Ensure the round side of the ruffle is facing the right side of the shell. And when I say shell, I mean the outer part that people are going to see. Then I pin the ends of the ruffle to where the lining stops on the shell. And when that is done, I distribute the gathers evenly and pin to the shell along the top. I place the lining over the ruffle strip and the shell and pin along the top and the bottom. Make sure the ruffle is along the edge of your mask all the way along the top. If you look here, you can see part of the ruffle wasn't directly at the top, which means when turned to the right side, it'll be wonky. So I seam ripped that bit out and I restitched it. When that was done, I snipped off all loose threads, cut about half of the seam allowance off the top and the bottom, cut slits along the curve, and then I turn it inside out through one of the holes on the side. With the excess shell at the ends, I fold inwards to the round side twice until that fold meets the edge of the lining, and I pin. I do the same for the leopard piece, and then I take all of my pieces to the machine and I top stitch them down along the fold that touches the lining. I'm not going to be pinning the ruffles along the top, I just take it to the machine and I stitch it. With the white mask, I use this pre-done lace ruffle along the top. I line it up and I cut the desired length, and then I cut it at an angle at the sides and edge stitch the two short ends. We don't go directly to the edge of the shell, we stop the ruffles where the lining stops. I do the same thing for the black lace for the leopard mask. Take it to the machine and top stitch in place. too long, so put it under. Now that is done, I use my loop turner thingy and I stick it through the holes at the end. I hook my 6-inch elastic in it and pull it through. And then I overlap the two edges and hand sew it. Now, I use 6 inches for mine, but I suggest using 6 3/4 of an inch for the length of the elastic, because I overlapped mine by 3/8 of an inch on both sides and it was quite snug. You still need a slight bit of room, as your ear should never be pulling forward or it should never be folded. So 6 3/4 inches should be good. When you finish sew all of your elastic, then you are donesies!
Inside the book that I wrote, all of the words that we spoke.
So this is how they look, and I think that I would have preferred for, even though this lace has a bit of ruffle to it, like so, I think I would have preferred to do more ruffles on it, so to make it like the same 17 inches and then like do more ruffles, because you can't really see the ruffle effect on this as it is. So I may take out this bit here and just do it over, but I like how they came out. They look cool. They look coolsies, right?
'Cause you don't know how.
Yeah.